Hey, y'all, what's up? I know the background, I'm in a different room, but let's talk about literacy centers, okay? Literacy centers are just centers that we can use that we should have had set up in the beginning of the year. But if we don't, y'all, listen, it's Halloween, October, spooky season, and I'm all about it. This is my favorite time of year. 5 different activities that we can use for literacy centers and how they can be adapted for elementary, middle, and high school with the spooky twist and the Sped supports. Okay, sentence building. That's first. What we do is you have cards, index cards, laminated cards, however you do, with nouns, adjectives, subjects, all the different things on them, but make them spooky themed, okay? Make like the nouns, the adjectives, the verbs, make those spooky themed. And it all gets mixed up, it gets jumbled up, or you lay them out flat on the ground, and then the students have to create sentences. They create sentences, and I've done this in class before. And the fun thing about it is I had like something that I bought, like a big cauldron, like a witch's brew. And they would pick up the words and then put them, and we would stir them in the witch's brew. And then that would create the sentence. I did this for primary. That would create the sentence. So we get different sentences like the black cat jumped, things like that. That is perfect for primary. And a way to put some supports on that is with the word have a picture action, and we can pair it that way, so they have the word and then they have the visual. So in middle school, compound complex sentences. Okay, it's not just the black cat jumped. That's too simple. The sentences increase. The complexity of the sentences increased. And then for like upper, middle, and then high school, we're adding in figurative language, we're adding in inferentials, we're adding in tone, different things like that. So you adjust the complexity based on what you teach. We still keep it spooky and keep all those Halloween themed words and stuff in there, because the Halloween part is the best part. For your Sped supports, sentence frames, the icons, the images that's paired with them. And it can be a group activity by doing it in the cauldron, or if you're going to do, each student has like a little stack of them in front of them and they do it independently. They can put theirs together, and then when they have to transcribe them onto like their paper, the worksheet that they turn in, then they have the spelling and all that in front of them. If the legibility is the difficult part here, then that's no problem. Then have them do it orally. Okay, for reading comprehension or like different prompts and stuff, guys, this is the easy part. Just do journal prompts, word prompts. Have a question, or I don't want to say story because that sounds very loud. I'm talking about a paragraph worth of information, and then either have the children answer the questions that's built into it, or that's the best way. Build in questions at the end of it and have them answer the specific question. That really gets on the comprehension. You can leave it as an open-ended journal. If we're really focusing on measuring their comprehension, I would have the story and then have a question built into the bottom of the story, or in the story itself. So it's not just like you give some information, then you go, what do you think? Not that type of thing. I can pop up some pictures here, whichever corner I'm going to pop it in at. I have some prompts in the shop that are fall themed and Halloween themed that do just that. Okay, for our sort, I call it the witch's brew sort because I use cauldrons. Y'all, don't judge me, okay? There's no judging. You can use, I also have something available in the shop where we use rakes, and like that's the fall theme is rakes. And what you do is you sort words however you sort them. If your lesson or your unit is rhyming, you have a cauldron with this word on there and a cauldron with that word on there. And then you have all the either ingredients or the witch's hats, whatever icon or image you want with the other rhyming words on there. You mix them all up, and students have to categorize the different rhyming words into that particular box. Make sense? And with the rake, instead of the witches' hats or whatever icon for the witches, it's leaves and rakes. And the students can take their little rakes and they can rake over the rhyming word based on the word that's on their rake and then the words that are available. For our last one, our monster match with context clues. This can use like a monster, like a stuffed animal or something simple like that. And we're gonna have a sentence on our paper, and the definition is gonna be bolded. It's the student's job to write down on their individual paper, or you can have them pre-printed out, because that's a special ed strategy where they use the context clues within that sentence sentence or sentences to determine what it means. And then they feed it to the monster. So like for elementary, you should have the monster, because if something goes wrong, we don't want them to like num it up. They need to like spit it out, make it elementary age. When we get to middle school, we're doing a little bit more sentences, not just one or two. And our clues, context clues, need to be a little more complex. When we get to high school, we need to have they need to be inferring, so that they have to use that higher level of thinking. The answer is not plainly written like it would be made for elementary school, but like maybe for middle school, depending on what it is you're doing. I know in North Carolina, we get into inferring in middle school. So that's something that I would do. You can still use the monster for middle school and high school, but I would turn it into a competition, do points and stuff, because they're not going to really buy into the monsters eating it. So that's something how I could change it to make it fit those strategies. So guys, there you have it. That's real quick and dirty. My 5 different activities for centers that I would do for middle, elementary, and high school for spooky season. Because Halloween is the best season ever. I know. Fight me. I know y'all like to tussle. Hey, y'all, what's up? So I'm coming in here because I forgot the 5th one. I literally did 4 activities and said 5, 5, 5 the whole time. So my first one for like primary, we're talking about, and it can be edited, we're talking about sight words. I have pumpkin cutouts. I can put a picture somewhere. You put the sight word in the middle of the cutout and you place them around like a pumpkin patch. Now you can either have, say, each student gets 3, or you can make it a competition. They go through, they pick the pumpkin, they read it. If they get it right, then they get to keep the pumpkin that they chose. And so they go into the pumpkin patch, they pick the pumpkins, they take it back to their desk. Now, if we're talking for older grades, instead of doing sight words, we can do definitions. We can do like the words in the novel. We can do it like an inferential or a context clue. You adjust it to what the level is, so that even middle school and high schoolers can pick pumpkins from the pumpkin patch. We can make this digital. We can make it cutouts as the grades get bigger. I personally would do digital, but if you want to cut out and have them come up and pick the pumpkins and tell you the definition of the word, by all means do that. Something I don't have on the site is just a pumpkin without the sight word in it. That's it. But I'll do that. I'll make that like it's just a template. So when you order the activity, you get the ones with the sight words in it and the blank one, so that you can put in your own words if you're not doing sight words, or if you want to change the words that I put in there.